Hello. Welcome.
Hello.
Welcome inside the Wild Mama podcast. We are here today to clear the air
Crazy dog.
about something that so many parents really are failing at. And people keep asking me, I'll segue away for a moment. People often ask me, is it really that simple? And my answer is always yes. Yes, it can be. Do we allow it to be that simple? Do we make it really complicated and fill our lives and our minds with excuses and reasons as to why it can't be that simple in order to stay inside dysfunctional patterns and comfortable habits that are really not self-serving? Yeah, we do all that stuff. But underneath all of the BS, is it that simple? 100%. Yes, it is. And that's why we're here inside the Wild Mama podcast to really restore motherhood to its natural state, to disassemble all of these narratives and paradigms and concepts and stories that we've been told, and that many we have unconsciously adopted and made our own, and some of them we've consciously adopted. And within all of this,
Dad,
generally, what we don't know, and
a treat for you guys.
And I say this from experience, we don't know what we don't know until we know it. And I have had so many just like smack in the face reality check moments in my life where all of a sudden I just knew more. And then there was no going back. Once you know, you can't go back to being ignorant anymore. It's impossible to go back and know less once you know more. Once you've awakened, once you have allowed your awareness to expand to the point where you see how clear and simple things can be. Well, that is what I cannot break these in half, but these are unless I've got really strong mama muscles today. No, I can't. You just have to give one to each of them.
There's only one more left.
Okay, baby, is this the exact best time to be having this conversation with Mama?
I'm trying to get them to be calm so this can be over.
So the short, very simple answer is yes. Yes, it can be that simple. So let's just lay it out here. What is this massive parenting fail that the majority of people out there have no idea that they're committing? This treachery to their children. Easiest way I can put it, and I cannot take full credit for the language on this because it was given to me very crisp and concisely by a counselor that my husband and I were seeing a number of years ago, and she laid it out like this. She said, most people parent one of two ways. The first way being they loved what their parents did, and they tried to replicate that. The second being they didn't like what their parents did, so they're trying to do what they perceive to be the opposite. And both of those methods are incorrect. So I was sitting at the edge of my seat. Okay, well, what's next? And the next thing that she said, it hit me so deeply in the depth of my being, because that is what I had felt that I was really trying to integrate and incorporate, and the approach that I was really beginning to embody as a mother, as a parent to, she's up here, my child. And she put it very simply. She said, both of those methods are wrong because it has nothing to do with you and your past. It has nothing to do with you and your past experience. It has everything to do with you and your child moving forward. And the best way to parent, so those are the two parenting fails right there. If you're parenting because you loved what your parents did with you and you're trying to replicate that, that's a fail. If you didn't like what your parents did and you're trying to do what you perceive to be the opposite, that's a fail. The win on the other side of this is to parent from a place of looking at your child and what they need. And then, and only then, can we break those cycles, that, especially the ones that we didn't like. We can break those cycles just toss them aside, and then begin anew and begin fresh and really start parenting from that heart-centered space that is soul-led and purposeful and meaningful and exactly what they chose us for. They didn't choose us to be their parents so that we could continue the same dysfunctional cycles and suffer in the same ways and live the life of, well, this is just what it is. It's always that way and nothing's ever going to change. That's not why they chose us. They chose us because we have something inside of us, we all do, that if we're open and we're willing to listen to that little nudge, that little calling within us, and pay attention to what's here, then we parent from a place where we can be satisfied and fulfilled and just like, successful. At the end of the day, feeling like, I'm a good parent. It doesn't mean I'm going to be a perfect parent. We still all make mistakes and we're still finding our way. But having the willingness and the openness to look at this beautiful human. I have a son as well. If this is your first time joining us here on the Wow Mama podcast, I have a 1.5-year-old son as well. To find the strength to just be with what's here and to recognize that no matter what happened to you in your past, as a child, as an adolescent, even as an adult with your parents, that none of that matters. It's all irrelevant. You can use those experiences to help sift and sort through and for you to define who you want to be. Your past is very relevant to you and how you choose to make it mean for you. See if we can say that in a bit of a different way. Your past has relevance to you to the degree that it matters to you in a way that serves you. Most of us live a life being held down, tethered to, and dragged down and backwards by our past. And then we make choices from that place of depletion, from that place of lack, from that place of sadness, from that place of solitude and longing. And that's not the place we want to be moving from. When I talk to mothers and I ask them, well, what do you want? Like very few, like a fraction of a percent of the women that I speak to feel like they're living the life that they want. I wish I could do that. I wish I could be more like this. I wish I could. And a lot of that becomes convoluted as well, because where are those desires coming from? Are they soul-aligned desires? And that's for another podcast as well. But here inside this, the biggest parenting fail, it is that simple. It's parenting from a place that's not about your child. It's parenting from a place of you and what you think should happen based on your past experience. So let's take a moment to be super honest with ourselves. You can sit here, stand here, driving, wherever you're listening to me. Be honest with yourself. Just exhale and be willing. Say with me, I choose to be radically and unapologetically honest with myself right now. Am I parenting? Just coming in hot. Am I parenting from a place of my own fears? Am I parenting from a place of my own pain? Am I parenting from a place of fear? Fear of letting my child down, fear of not being a good enough parent, fear of repeating the same cycles, fear of becoming the mother or the father that I had that I don't want to be. Ask yourself, am I parenting from a place of fear? Am I allowing my past to taint my choices right now? As I look at my children, as I live and breathe, can you be honest with yourself and ask yourself these questions? And if you say, well, yes, I am. I'm afraid every day. I'm afraid I'm not a good enough parent. I'm afraid that the things that happen to my kids are going to happen to my kids, and the list goes on and on. Okay, awesome. Totally natural. And you are not alone in this. You are not alone. Even I, as I sit here, we all have moments. It's being willing to notice the moments and not let them rule you. They're going to pop up. They're going to happen. You say, ooh, okay, I notice this. I see that this is something from my past that's triggering in me, and it's launching me on the trajectory that I don't want to parent. I don't want to be that person because I've spent the time. And if you haven't spent the time, and if you're not sure how, reach out. I'm here to support you. To know without a shadow of a doubt who you are. Like, mama, who are you? Who are you as a woman? What do you stand for? Where is your backbone? Where is your line of integrity? What do you stand for? What are you not willing to accept? Know these things. Like, know them inside and out. I was like, oh, I've never thought about that before. Well, you're in the right place because this is all of the stuff that we get into here. Once you know that, then you can begin to identify when you're parenting from a place of lack or despair or longing or pain or suffering. And then say, okay, even if you don't know how to do all of that work, notice, say, ooh, yeah, this is, I'm feeling tense and I'm feeling tight and I'm making my parenting choices. I'm moving and I'm breathing, I'm acting, I'm speaking from this place as a mother every single day. Ooh, like, power to you for admitting that. The world needs more women who are willing to be radically honest with themselves to say, like, I'm not where I want to be as a mother, but I'm willing to step up and change it. It is a short one. It's only 11 minutes so far, sweet pea. And then what? And then to choose what's next. Well, this is it. On the other side of that fail, okay, so you're parenting from I'm going to be like my parents or I'm not going to be like my parents. Both of them wrong. Okay, who cares? Now we know better. Let's move on. Parent from the place of here. From this, not this child for you, but your child, be with them. Be present with them. Notice when your body, your mind and your body is constricting and going back into those old patterns. And then if you need help and tools and support to process through all of these things, like I have so many tool baskets full of so many good things, and we're going to get into so much on this podcast, so feel free to reach out. If you have a specific question, feel free to message me, or if you're watching this on YouTube, just comment below. And be here. Take the time to be still. Take the time to listen. And listen to them. It's really easy to think, oh, I love my children, my biggest teachers. But are they? Are we allowing them to really be the beautiful teachers that they are? Because we, as parents, it is not our job to tell them what to do. It is not our job to tell them what to be. It is not our job to tell them how to view the world. And it is not our job to tell them this is not an infomercial for Ophelia's mints. Again, if you're not watching on YouTube, she was just flashing her little mint tin to the camera. That's where the magic begins. Is when we truly listen. And pause and be in space with our children and let go of the notions that it's our job to tell them how to be, that it's our job to tell them how to think, that it's our job to tell them how to act in the world, that it's our job to prepare them for the big crazy world out there. That's not our job. That is not our job at all. Our job is to listen. Our job is to guide. Our job is to nurture and nourish their passions and their desires and their curiosities and follow them on this wild journey. Like, wild mama, you are here. You have an inner wild that will mesh and harmonize so beautifully with the inner wild of your children. And when we're feeling overwhelmed, or you're feeling like disconnected or stressed out or anxious, overwhelmed, so much overwhelm in motherhood, it's simply because you are not allowing yourself to be in space with your children. You're somewhere else. You're in the past. You're holding on to something that happened to you. You're caught up in your head, which is all the past. That thinking mind of ours, it ruminates and analyzes and converses about everything in the past. Anything past this before this moment here, it's all the past. When I say past, I don't mean 15, 20, 35 years ago. Yes, that's the past. But also 5 seconds ago. That's also the past. Children are the most perfect example of this because they will be in tears about sometimes the simplest of things that seem arbitrary.
Or if you have a brother.
And their big feelings and their big emotions, and we hold them and we hug them and we tell them it's all going to be okay, and we nurse their boo-boos and we give them magical kisses and we do all the beautiful mama things. And then 2 seconds later, it's like nothing happened and they're boinging around and they're having the best time ever. And then we say,
bouncing off the box.
wouldn't that be nice? Wouldn't that be nice to be able to do that? Oh, yes, it is. It is. We have the capacity. We were them. We had it. It just got like squished out of us. It got taken away from us. Stripped away, taken away. We got conditioned with all kinds of BS. It's not ours. And we...
Like school.
Yes. Yes.
I don't go to school.
As the wild mamas that we are, we get to make the choices to be the authority over our children and to be the authority over ourselves. If you want to parent your children successfully in a way that is fulfilling and satisfying and fun and full of love for both your child and you, then you have to do that. It is required, it is a definite requirement for you to do that for yourself first. So how can you mother yourself today? How can you support yourself to get into the space where you are everything you want now? There is no gap between the you want to be and the you now. The only thing that's preventing you from being that is you. Is saying that it's not possible. I can't do that because, or it must be nice for you because. I hear so much of that all the time. Oh, it must be nice. Must be nice. You get to be home with your kids. You're so lucky. Must be nice that it's so easy for you. You're so lucky it comes so easily. And yes, I am blessed. I do not take this for granted. I cry most nights when I put my babies to bed in deep gratitude and just sheer bliss at what I have been able to experience and what I get to experience inside of motherhood moving forward. Yes, I'm so deeply grateful for all of that. And a lot of it does come easily to me, which is why I am sharing it. It explodes my heart so much. It just all comes out. Which is why I'm here sharing it with you. Because it matters that this is not just accessible for me. Again, a story that I had to shake off even when I was younger, 20 years before I had kids. Was like, oh, I could never do that. Like, I could never be like you, Angel. I could never do that. I could never say that. And yes, you can.
Yes, you can do so.
You can have, do, be, say, experience, feel, like anything you want to feel in this world. So we went off on a few little tangents here today. But again, I encourage you, I invite you, I sincerely hope that you will take this invitation for what it is, to look at your foundation of where you parent from. It's not the tips, it's not the tricks, it's not the tools, it's not the schedules, it's not the language, it's your foundation. And if your foundation is built upon, I'm doing this because my parents did it, or I'm doing it because it's the opposite of what my parents did, you're setting yourself up to fail. And by fail, I mean you're setting yourself up to not feel confident as a mother. You're setting yourself up to feel anxious and overwhelmed and stressed out and misaligned and disconnected. You're setting yourself up to feel, I know this, all the ways you don't want to feel. So step forward, step into this space with me and look at your children. What do they need? What do they want? And they'll tell you. Just ask them. Children are beautiful. They know. They're so beautifully connected to who they are and what they want and how they want to do it. And they will tell you. They will tell you what they want. They will tell you what they need.
Like
and
this. If you don't know, you should know.
Outside of the little things, like, I need some food, like basic needs. I need some food. I need a hug. I want to play. I want to color. I want to draw. I want to play music. Outside of those things, this is what children need. Children need you. Children need their mothers. They don't need you to
They need their daddies.
And they need their daddies too.
And their doggies. And the white.
Children do not need you to outsource their childhood. Their childhood is your motherhood, and your motherhood is their childhood, and it's just beautifully intertwined. Like, just drink it in. So delicious experience.
You're
and we allow it
delicious.
to be that way. Me? I'm delicious? You're delicious.
Now you're delicious.
So I hope that you enjoyed this podcast today. I intentionally, for my own harmonious home existence and for your consumption, working to have these podcasts be a little bit shorter, more digestible. We covered a lot of things in here. I do love to segue. Little stories come in, and I always share what comes through for me in my connection to spirit and all the angels that guide me. So if you have any questions, please reach out. Again, if you're listening to this podcast, there's always numerous ways in my podcast descriptions for you to reach out to me. If you're watching this on YouTube, comment below. Tell me what you thought about this episode. You can just comment below with any questions you have, and I can get back to you there as well. I'm not hard to find on the internet, that's for sure. So this has been another episode of the Wild Mama podcast, where we are here to restore motherhood to its natural state. Final thought. If this episode, if anything in this episode here today was triggering for you, then I really invite you to sit with this. Don't just say, man, that lady, she kind of ticked me off. I don't like what she said. Get curious as to why. So my husband sent me something really beautiful yesterday. I was getting the kids some dinner. He went off to the gym, and he said, for my wife, the healer. And then there was this little blurb about what healers are. And it was all about being triggered. I trigger him a lot. He gets triggered by me a lot. And it is such a beautiful thing. You may have people in your life that do this too. And that from where I sit, if something landed with you in a way that just like, oh, yes, it landed and it spoke to your soul. Ophelia, please don't do that. It landed with your soul and you felt it felt true and real. It felt truth for you. Then run with it. Run with that feeling and sit with that feeling as long as you can. And if the flip side is true for you and I said something today that really triggered you and made you feel angry or made you retract or made you feel threatened or any myriad of feelings that you could be feeling, then I invite you to sit with that as well and ask why. Because when we are willing to be honest with ourselves as mothers, then we can have that truly authentic, honest relationship with our children, which we and they so deserve. All right. Thank you so much for being here with me and Ophelia and our doggies again on another episode of the Wild Mama podcast. Hopefully that is busted. Biggest parenting fail. We have exploited it and we know how to step forward. We parent from a place of what our children need right here in the present, right here, right now. Mwah.
Goodbye, bye, 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 bye. Bye.
Push this one.
Oop.
And then this one.
Oop. Oop.